Welcome to SA News Weekly News Update. We'll cover the top stories from across the United States, important developments worldwide, and new insights from the world of health and science.
This week, the political landscape was shaken by a highly unusual display of bipartisan defiance in the Indiana State Senate. In a move that surprised many observers and delivered a significant public rebuke to a former president, a coalition of Republican and Democratic state senators successfully blocked a high-profile, Trump-backed bill aimed at redrawing the state's congressional and legislative maps. The effort, often known as gerrymandering, was intended to cement a Republican supermajority for the next decade. The proposed map was widely criticized by nonpartisan groups as an extreme partisan gerrymander designed to dilute the voting power of Democrats and consolidate Republican control. However, the bill faltered when a crucial block of 21 Republican state senators joined all Democrats to kill the plan, despite explicit public pressure and threats of primary challenges from the Trump administration. In a move that dramatically heightens tensions between the United States and Venezuela, the U.S. has seized a very large oil tanker operating in what it calls a dark fleet, vessels allegedly used to circumvent U.S. sanctions on the Venezuelan oil industry. The White House announced the seizure, describing it as part of an aggressive new phase in the campaign to apply maximum pressure on the regime of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. The operation, which involved U.S. Navy assets and a warning campaign to seize more vessels, aims to cripple Venezuela's primary source of revenue. The U.S. has also announced sanctions on 3 of President Maduro's nephews and 6 additional oil tankers. Furthermore, the seizure sparked immediate backlash from regional and international critics, including some U.S. lawmakers who warned that the administration is sleepwalking us into a war. They argue that seizing a vessel in international waters or waters disputed by a sovereign nation creates a dangerous precedent that could be mirrored by U.S. adversaries. Russian President Vladimir Putin, in a phone call with Maduro, affirmed Moscow's solidarity with the people of Venezuela in the face of what he called illegal external pressure. The humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza has been brutally compounded this week by the arrival of Storm Byron, bringing torrential rain, heavy flooding, and severe winter weather. The already unimaginable suffering of displaced Palestinians was tragically underscored by the death of an infant who perished from exposure in a flooded tent in the southern part of the Strip. The storm has turned makeshift refugee camps into muddy, waterlogged quagmires. The United Nations Relief and Works Agency, UNRWA, reports that tens of thousands of tents, already inadequate shelters against the cold, have been destroyed or heavily damaged, displacing families for a second or third time. The situation in the south, particularly in Rafah, where over 1 million people have sought refuge, is becoming increasingly desperate. Aid agencies are struggling to respond. The combination of sustained military operations, collapsed infrastructure, and the massive storm has made the distribution of essential winter supplies, such as blankets, warm clothing, and new tents, nearly impossible. Fuel shortages are preventing the pumping of water floods, leading to the rapid spread of waterborne diseases like cholera and hepatitis, which health officials warn could lead to a massive secondary crisis. More than 9,000 children in Gaza were treated for acute malnutrition in October, and the storm threatens to destroy the fragile supply lines of the remaining food and medical aid. For the millions living with drug-resistant epilepsy, a critical research breakthrough at the Mayo Clinic is bringing a future of predictable and potentially preventable seizures closer to reality. Biomedical engineer Dr. Benjamin Brinkman and his team are leveraging AI with both implants and wearable smartwatches to forecast seizures. The research has 2 key components. First, a study using a small implant beneath the skin behind the ear recorded continuous brain activity, EEG. Over 15 months, this device recorded 754 seizures, nearly twice the number reported by patients in their diaries. This data confirmed that traditional tracking significantly underestimates seizure frequency, providing the high-fidelity data needed to find subtle predictive patterns. Second, the team developed an AI model for a standard smartwatch that tracks vital signs like heart rate, skin conductance, and movement. This system was able to correctly predict approximately 75% of seizures with minimal false alarms, according to findings published in Epilepsia. For patients, even a few minutes warning is life-changing, allowing them to avoid risky activities or seek help. Dr. Brinkman's ultimate goal, part of the Mayo Clinic's Bionic program, is to create a closed-loop system that not only predicts an event, but automatically triggers a responsive treatment, like gentle brain stimulation, to stop the seizure before it even starts. This work represents a major shift toward automated, personalized epilepsy care. On Human Rights Day 2025, voices across the globe echoed the urgent need to uphold dignity, equality, and justice. Among them, Sant Rampal Ji Maharaj's teachings stood out, offering a spiritual yet practical framework for realizing universal human rights. Known as a reformer who challenges outdated customs and advocates for scripture-based living, Sant Rampal Ji Maharaj emphasizes that true spirituality is inseparable from social responsibility. His vision is rooted in the belief that every human being deserves freedom from exploitation, discrimination, and harmful traditions. He has consistently spoken against practices such as dowry, caste-based inequality, and substance abuse, calling them violations of both divine law and human dignity. Spirituality is not only about personal liberation, but also about social responsibility, his teachings remind us. On Human Rights Day, this message resonates deeply. Rights are not abstract ideals, but lived realities shaped by social reform. As the world confronts challenges from climate change to conflict, his message is clear: human rights must be lived, not just declared. By aligning spiritual practice with social reform, humanity can move closer to a future where dignity and equality are not aspirations, but realities.
And that wraps up this week's bulletin. Thank you for joining SA News, and we'll see you next week. Truth that you want to know.